NANI?!
Jesus fuck.
So the board controls the actuators of the submarine. What's an actuator, you ask? Well, it's anything that moves or controls a mechanism. In the case of our submarine, that means the board controls the grabbers, torpedoes, and potentially anything else depending on this year's challenges. The actuator board also has an H-bridge, which allows it to control an extra motor. For the past few years, this hasn't been used, but since this year's challenges hasn't been announced yet, we decided to play it safe and keep it. The design process for the board was pretty straightforward. I took last year's board, kept what worked, and improved on the rest. This meant putting all the channel LEDs on one side of the board for easier diagnosis and shrinking the board down. This year's actuator board only has 14 channels. Depending on how the manipulators are designed, this means the board can control 14 simple grabbers, one very complex grabber, 14 torpedoes, or most likely, a balanced combination of grabbers and torpedoes. Towards the end of winter break, the boards arrived. During Janman, I spent most of my days soldering, since I have never soldered before. And learning how to solder felt nothing short of impossible. I mean, you have to carefully place something the size of a tick onto a board with tweezers in one hand, and use the other hand to melt metal in a way so that the metal touches the board and the component, but doesn't move either one. I mean, look at this. You see the metal pins? These things can't touch each other, and they're about 2 or 3 millimeters apart. And the soldering iron itself is about 4 times as thick. So after several burns later, and countless hours in lab, the board didn't work. That's because I still needed to write the basic code for it. While this wasn't nearly as tedious, it was just as hard, since every time I asked Nick a question, I would get a response like this.
Nice. Another one. Another one. Oh yeah.
The real test is the out-of-body experience, where we will be connecting all the boards for this year's sub and seeing if it works. Hopefully, nothing catches on fire. And that's about it. Now you too are an expert on the actuators board. If you happen to be my mentee and you are watching this because I told you to, you probably realize this by now, but no, this video probably will not answer any of your questions. Sorry. And you probably also realize that I have no idea what I'm doing either. Sorry. So best of luck to you and the rest of the CUAUV team.
What?